being gathered together, and thank you for spring that's on its way. Ask that you be with each person as they leave home with granting them traveling mercies and safety. And thank you again for each family that took time out of their very busy schedules to be with us tonight. Ask that you grant us wisdom and peace and kindness and all the wonderful things that this city is known for. We love you so much and thank you for this time again. Amen. Shoot.
A roll call. Sarah Collins.
Present.
Thanks, Miss, not here. Roger Cuneo.
Present.
Jeremy Berman's not here. City Attorney Drew Lee here. Clerk Treasurer Darcy Bannerman.
Present.
I'm also here. Okay. Approval meeting minutes for March 16th.
Make motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, approval of special session meeting minutes for March 20th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. First thing, old business, professional service agreement for water loss audit and validation. We've had, as required by the state, we must complete an annual water loss audit to ensure compliance.
Mike's down closer to you.
The mic's not working.
Okay, well, then you can speak louder, please.
I'm trying.
Well,
The city
know what's happening.
solicited multiple quotes for the completion and verification of this report. We received proposals from the following firms: Weiss and Vanden Brink for $3,750, Wessler Engineering for $4,000, Commonwealth Engineering for $7,500, M.E. Simpson for $12,100, and Strand Associates for $13,500. In addition, Donahue Associates informed the city that through the existing membership with Alliance of Indiana Rural Water, we are eligible to receive technical assistance at no cost. After direct communications with Alliance, staff confirmed that they will not only assist in preparing and submitting the water loss audit, but will also serve as the verifying entity for the report, meeting the state requirements. Given this information, it is my recommendation that the city utilize the services provided through Alliance of Rural Water to complete the annual water loss audit. This approach ensures full compliance while eliminating the need for contracted services, resulting in a cost savings of several $1,000s this year and in the future year. They also teach our people how to do this, so we can do it ourselves instead of hiring it out. So. Probably need a motion for that, don't I? Even though it's free.
I'll make a motion to use, Alliance of Rural Water. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, consideration of approval for amendment to the current SRO MOU. You explain, or you want to explain that?
It was brought to our attention by the superintendent of the school corporation that we had been receiving grant money for the SRO. However, how we were applying for the grant money, we were only receiving half of what we were eligible for. This will change so that we will be able to receive the entire grant and save the city and the school corporation some money.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consideration of approval for amendment. No, consideration of approval for the Alexandria Police Department.
We can't hear you.
Consideration of approval for the Alexandria Police Department use of force policy.
What this does, we had our use of force policy approved by the board before the state had a statewide use of force policy. This brings, even though ours was in line, it changes some wording, but the major thing is that anytime the state would change their use of force policy in the future, ours would automatically change and not have to go through the Board of Works.
I'll make the motion to adopt the new, use of force policy.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Okay. Okay. Okay, consideration of approval for Alexandria Police Department employee hire. Nick Oldham.
Yes, we would recommend that we hire Nick Oldham as our new officer. Nick has almost 15 years of experience. He is a former Officer of the Year by the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. He knows all of our systems. He will have to learn our policies and our streets, but everything else he is up to speed on. And it would be a quick turnaround at FTO to get him actually on the street working. And this is Mr. Odom, if you have any questions for him.
he's already approved by Kirk, and then is it?
He's going to be a civilian.
I'll make a motion to hire Nick Oldham.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Consideration of approval to amend the 2026 Fraternal Order of Police contract, Article 6, Section 5.
Yeah, recently we discovered that section, the date got changed. I don't understand. I don't know how the date got changed, but the date got changed from January 1st, 2025 to January 1st, 2026. That was not approved by the FOP or the Board of Works. And if you have any questions on that, Captain Holzleiter, who is the FOP president, is here. He can answer any questions you have.
We're just changing the date, correct? Correct.
That is correct. It was not an amended proposal for this current year. It was an amended proposal for the previous year. And there was a clerical error in the process.
Okay. I'll make the motion to, make the adjustment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed? All right. Now we're ready for the fire department. Consideration of approval for Alexandria Fire Department employee hire, Evan.
Yes. So we have a vacancy at the fire department, and through our process of applications and testing, Mr. Pierce, who's a local kid, graduated from high school, is 23, almost 24 years old, met our requirements, and we'd like to extend him a conditional offer pending approval.
make the motion to hire the neighbor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed?
Appreciate that.
Okay, consideration of approval for the EMS Management and Consulting Incorporated billing agreement.
I'll let you speak. So the agreement that you have in front of you is just a continuation of the current agreement that we have with EMSMC. It's been a process that we've been involved with long before Jake and I both, but Assistant Chief Hendrick takes care of our EMS billing. So if you have any questions for that, I'm going to defer those to him.
did the prices stay the same?
Actually, when the name changed, the price rate dropped and it is reflected into this current contract. Name change and a lot of avenues advanced and it's costing us less out of pocket now. So,
That's good.
yeah.
How long is this agreement good for?
What years?
1 year? If I'm not mistaken, there's a year extension at the end if nothing changes, which this is the first change we've had. 5 to 8 years. It used to be called Acumen. That may be what you know it as, but now it's EMSMC that bought the name.
The only reason why it's really happened to come up is because of the name change.
Well, I'll make a motion to, approve the agreement with the EMS.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to recess the board of works until after the city council.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the reason why we're doing this is for Bellatori.
For 5 precinct.
So we can explain things to her. Sorry.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate you.
Amy. That's your nameplate.
I didn't look, sorry.
Okay. Roll call. Roger Pugh. John Burchell. Where? Are you going?
Present.
And Curry.
Present.
Dave Luck. Here. Don Keeper.
Present.
Jeremy is not here. City Attorney Julie. Here. Clerk Treasurer Darcy Van Airman.
Present.
Also here. Okay, public comments. It's a submersion.
I've got several questions. First, why is Washington Street sidewalk being torn up again? One, why are we hiring new people when we can't even pay our bills now? What, like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand what these boards are doing when we can't even pay our bills. Why? Why are we doing this? Like, and then like on consideration of approval to extend the expiration for DES 18-00242 and 18-00243 Washington Street contract. Why? Why are we extending this contract? This has already been done and over with. Why? Why is the sidewalk being torn up? Anybody tell me? Why is the sidewalks being torn up on Washington Street?
It's not actually.
Yes, it is.
Question.
Right.
Time. It's not question time, it's statement time.
That's my statement.
Okay.
Why? You people obviously cannot get your shit together in order to get this town in order. Why haven't you resigned? Why hasn't Darcy resigned? town needs better than this. And nobody, no one. And then why is Baker Tilly still here? They haven't even done their right job. Because Darcy didn't give them the right numbers and still we're having them employed. How much are we paying them? Why? Why is this still happening to the city and the citizens of Alexandria? This makes no sense. And you're just sitting there. These people, everyone of the city of Alexandria needs to have someone to represent them.
And,
No, I haven't been up here for 3 minutes yet.
2 minutes.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
No, you need to stop because you are employed. All you are here is for advisory. You are not here to tell anybody in this audience of what to do.
The rules for this.
And you know what? You don't make the rules, the mayor does, and he can't even do his job.
The council made these rules.
No, you have no word.
Minutes for March 16th.
I did have one thing, when I was looking over the claims, it dawned on me. We had talked about having this special meeting for appropriation of claims, and I didn't see that under the approval of minutes and claims and payroll. So if we could just add that a special meeting is to be scheduled. I thought it was gonna be prior to the last meeting, or to this meeting, but to appropriate any funds for the outstanding bills. If we could just have it noted, please, that was at least my understanding. I'm not sure about the rest of council.
What are you saying?
Just to add that a special meeting was to be scheduled prior
Okay,
to this
okay,
meeting in
okay.
order to appropriate funds to be added under the approval of funds and payroll. It just dawned on me this afternoon when I was looking at the agenda to go back to the minutes to see what the direction, because that's how I understood the direction, and we didn't have the meeting, so I just wanted that to be added. Yes, I'll make a motion to add, that the special meeting is to be scheduled prior to the next meeting to appropriate funds in order to pay outstanding balances of bills on the minutes. I'll second that motion.
So that 2 minutes with that habit for a minute.
I think the motion was done.
To amend the minutes.
Just state that. That's it. And I apologize that I didn't
It's okay.
get that to you.
I got you.
Right. To include the special meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Miss Donna.
Favor? All opposed? Okay. Now. Approval. Yeah. Okay, approval of minutes as amended. March 15th.
So we're gonna start with March 16th. Or go back to February 17th.
We're still on the minutes.
Oh,
We're still on the minutes. Okay, yes,
I was thinking.
pending changes suggested by Amy. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, warrant 20081 through 20171. From 2/17/2026, in the amount of $245,126.53.
I have a question on, the remaining from, February of the unpaid on page 2. Down at the bottom, the last two, person was paid out of, the general and then the water. I don't understand why, with the general fund, that that wasn't paid. I understand why maybe the water, because we didn't want to approve things that were still negative, but what about the general?
So an APV, if it's split out amongst multiple funds, it's all on one check. So if you would have wanted that to be voided to go out, I would have needed direction from you to do that. You as a council, not you directly, Ms. Donna, sorry.
Meeting. I was confused that these are still on here because the last meeting it said that the claims were paid. And then we received these that there are still some that are not. And so my understanding, because we were all surprised to hear that they were paid at the last meeting and had asked the questions. And then, the previous ones were not on the agenda is why I had asked. So it looks like at this point that not all of them were actually paid as we were under the impression. So we're looking under the ones that we had denied because of the negative balances. And my understanding is until an appropriation is made, we can't pay those. But again, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Darcy, yourself, Todd, someone with the direction that yes, if you'd like.
Yeah, so you cannot pay, and you cannot expend any fund unless there's an appropriation for those funds to be used. If you are, the way that it is, appears from these reports is you don't have funds within your utilities to pay for claims. Therefore, it would be general fund dollars. You've never made an appropriation out of general fund dollars to be utilized for those purposes. So you would need an appropriation of general fund dollars to be used, pay the claims of the utility.
Which is what we were waiting on to call a special.
Okay, so it still needs to be done in a special meeting prior to tonight being able to, or we could have done it tonight, had the appropriation been done for tonight. Like where we have got to pay these bills where we can. We can't have electricity shut off at the sewer department. We can't have those type of things done. However, we also need to know, and to what Donna was saying, if you've got several accounts, my understanding, like I said before, was that they were paid. We only denied the ones that weren't, that had a negative balance. So for instance, one of the pages, I apologize, had everything except one that was fire non-revert. Well, now that we know it's up to speed, perhaps we can go ahead and pay that one because the others were not in a negative balance. It was like $20-some of 2,000. So I don't understand why we can't, and this would fall back to, maybe having more of an understanding of the clerk treasurer and the gals in that office on when and what they can, but I know that they were concerned about people calling and claims maybe not being paid and what to say to them, and that the council hadn't approved them. We did approve the ones that were in a positive. So do you say to them something on the effect that out of this $1,000, we can pay $850? Would you like us to make that payment or wait? Or apparently we just aren't paying any of them until the ones in the negative are approved? Did that make it? Is that, I think that's exactly what.
Yeah.
I understand this.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's just conflicting and confusing information when you're like, they're paid, and I'm like, oh, they're paid, and then it's like, no, they're not paid, and then it's like, well, we say the ones that are in a negative account, but then there's some that's in a positive account. And it may be something just as little as paper towel, but if it's in the general fund, and we have money in the general fund, and then.
Or lit, I mean, there's some that weren't paid, lit. You know, I understand when I was understanding, so we weren't paying the ones in a negative. But I thought that was just understood that if, like the general, the lit, the people that have money, we would go ahead and pay that amount, even though maybe, I think it was explained that Amazon is like one big thing, but you could still make a payment of what's positive. on that, so it doesn't look so,
You can, however, oh, go ahead.
Broken down here also. What comes out of sewage and what comes out of,
right.
That's what made us
yes.
have this question, because when we saw that, we would understand that the ones out of sewer and water could not because they're negative, but the ones that are general or anything in the positive, because the motion we had made was not to pay anything in a negative fund. And then we were told that they were paid. So I assumed at the beginning of the last meeting that meant everything, and then found out that no, that wasn't the case, and we had these. And then when, they're like, what do we do when someone calls us? Like, I'm not sure that we have the answer for that.
I have one more question to add to that. The question was asked for, the funds that are negative, that are receiving revenue that covers the current claims. Are we allowed to pull from those current revenues? Or does the negative fund trump those current revenues that could actually pay claims? I think we need like that clarification too.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that you guys are facing here is how you draw the delineation between what is utility dollars and what is general fund dollars. And when you have a negative balance in your utilities, obviously they cannot, no business can operate in the negative like that. Those are being paid somehow. And so that's what the discussion was regarding getting the appropriations done to bring them into the positive. And the money to cover the operations if you need to continue to cover operations. Until you get the books cleaned up, you don't know where you stand. Whether that money is actually money that can be spent or is really, just in the hole. So that's why you need to have those records cleaned up, and that's the advice that I've been providing.
And that's my question, is why are we dragging the feet? We talk about this, but then nothing's done. Like, why isn't it set up?
Hopefully, if
I don't want hopefully, I just, we need to have a date.
Florida Works hires access, which that's what they do. They will come in and help us clean things up. It's a place to start. It's a
But how
place to
long
start.
will that take? I mean, what could we offer?
If you know of another direction to take, I'm more than willing to look at it. Because I don't.
I don't think it's so matter. I think it's like, we've talked about it long enough, let's act on it. Like,
Absolutely.
where are we going with this? Because it's not fair to have to sit up here and be given these. We were told the last time, which I really appreciate, and it's stuck in my mind, until all the boxes are checked, this shouldn't even come to us. So we shouldn't even have this in front of us to have to deny and be the bad guys. All those boxes should be checked. And I'm I know that we ran for this. We mostly ran unopposed, like I said. However, the information that we have and that we thought we were understanding is, come to find out, not what we're understanding. I think that's going to be a great direction. I thank you for taking the time and trying to get this set up, and I know that's coming later. But we need to act on it now. Same thing with these utility rates. The longer we put those off. So we need the information. I appreciate everyone in the community that came forward and talked to us so that we could talk, because we all know we're going to have to raise them. And I thank you, Todd. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Going back to Baker Tilly and then coming again tonight to do another presentation so that we can lessen the burden, even though we know that we are going to have to do this. But again, we need to start acting on things. We have tabled things because because of the communication, the lack of communication network. We've talked about lack of communication for a long time. It is improving, but we've got a long way to go. And I think what Donna is trying to say, and not to overspeak, but with that, She's not saying your idea wasn't a good idea. We just want it to happen. It, and the sooner the better. Yes.
I want to speak up on this. I went around, this is my third year. And I talk about that. How did these get into negative balances in the first place? Now, I kind of think it happened with the COVID thing, and we haven't raised rates for a long time. You know, the people way before us, you know, we're catching it from the media and everything else. People way before us didn't raise these rates, little. Now we're in these negative balances, and we're caught having to raise it big, where it should have been raised little before we got to this point. That's why they're in the negative balances, in my opinion. Okay? So the ordinances, these have to be passed. You know, we have to raise the rates. All right? And it's not 60%. All right? It's not. It's increments at phases that have to be done to get these out of the negative balances. We have to pay the utility stuff. We can't keep tabling this stuff. I go home after these meetings, we table it again, go back again, we tabled it again. You know, why are we, you know, we gotta pay this stuff. And we gotta make money to be able to pay this stuff. All right? And we haven't done any raising for a long time, and I think we have to. And I think once we do, everybody will get used to it. I hate to say it, that's what has to be done. And I know it's gonna be a burden on some people, but to bring these to positive balances, we're gonna have to raise these rates. Okay, that's my opinion on that.
I'm
We
pretty.
can't keep tabling, you know, that just drives me nuts. And the communication, once we table it, it's crickets for 2 weeks until we get here.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
Same thing with the speaking. My ADD, I'm sorry.
I'm talking the mic.
I'm sorry. But that's the same thing with these bills or these types that you had talked about before. And they do need to happen. They do need to happen sooner than later. I do agree that we haven't done it as we should. Now that we believe in old business, I'm grateful for that so that we can stay on track of those things. I wouldn't say that the utilities is entirely what has put us in the negative because we've only discovered that recently. And so I still don't have an answer to that. But with that, those are two separate issues in my mind. Going forward with these rates, yes, I agree, John, we can't continue to table it. But like you say, crickets, we also need to keep that communication up and be able to both represent our constituents as well as do what's best for the city to move it forward. And I feel like we have, even though we don't like it and it is going to have to increase, the fact that it's not going to have to increase like we thought 2 months ago shows that we've done our due diligence and that we are working on that. And I do appreciate the time and the effort that people have put into this. So that's what I was getting at.
Now, the storm did get out of the negative. So there are several in some of these that are storm that can be approved. Because the storm was out of the negative. And they were not paid last time. So I think we need to.
Yes, because I think the motions that we have made is not to pay anything in a negative. So if it's not, then it could be. Is it what my thought?
Just circle back to claims.
Yes, I'm sorry.
What do we need to do to get the appropriations to pull the money from the general fund to pay these bills expediently? Please.
I've been waiting on a motion of direction.
I would like to make a motion.
Wait, I'm sorry. But my understanding is it's not even to come to us until there's boxes in there. Am I incorrect in saying that?
No.
You're correct. So there's an Indiana code that talks about the approval of claims. And the approval of claims have to go through the process that when a claim is made, it's got to be approved by the person having the bill of service. And it's filed with the fiscal officer. And the fiscal officer is supposed to audit and certify that those claims are valid. And in that audit and certification, which comes up on your claim forms, that audit and certification is supposed to say there's a valid contract, This is a valid service, and we have an appropriation to pay these claims. That's what is supposed to be done under the code. Once those are checked off, then it gets on the claims docket for the council to approve.
So as far as direction, that's where I'm confused.
Yeah, so
We'll
whenever
have
you
to
have
vote
an
on the
appropriation,
appropriation.
it's gotta be a public hearing
Yeah.
and everything, but you got to have the number.
Okay, that's how I'm understanding. I'm
You
just
have to
making-
know how much it is that you have to appropriate.
Okay,
That's what I need direction on, how much to appropriate so that we can do the advertisement, we can do the resolution, we can do all the things. That's the type of direction I need from council.
needed to even bring it to us. Is what I'm understanding, is that just not me? Someone? Right. That's what you would just, correct? So we wouldn't have the direction. If we had the direction, I would have hoped we would have taken care of this.
You don't have the access to all of the fiscal information that would inform you as to, we need X amount here, we need X amount here, we need X amount here, and here are the funds that we have balances in which we can appropriate from. That stuff that is held by the fiscal officer. I mean, that's information that you're gonna, like, you don't know what to appropriate until you are told, this is what you need.
Okay,
So that's what we're gonna need from you as a clerk treasurer.
I can't just make that information up, though. Okay. All right.
These that are already here. Can we do something as a motion with these, since the girl put how much is owed on the ones that are positive? Can we go ahead and make a motion to pay these? The ones out of general, out of lit, all the ones that are except for, what is it, sewage and water. Yes, so I think the only two, so that would be, that's what I would like to make.
Something that would help is if I am allowed to move them to a line item, like other services and charges, to get them paid. If I had permission, I was gonna start answering that, and then somebody else popped off before I could get that question out to you all. Because if I cancel an APV, then that whole thing has to go out and then go back in front with in a different claim cycle. So the ones that are split out that you're tabling, they're split out on one check. So if I cancel that check, I cancel that APV. So then if I'm okay to, even if it's okay to pay the parts of it from a positive fund, that claim cycle would still have to come before you for approval. Yes, but I've not to point, I have not been given that authority by you all.
You know, I would think that maybe you could bring that to us and say, this is an issue, here's what I could do, or here are the possibilities. Because I do not know that.
Okay, and I did send out an email to that when it was told to me that you all thought the bills were paid, and I never heard from one person off of that email. So again, this is, the communication is everybody. Thank you.
Outstanding. We make one for what you're gonna make to pay.
Well, not all of them are from accounts that are positive.
Right, well, right, but you're gonna make the motion to specify.
Yes.
Okay,
They have to make the motion.
okay, yeah.
I'm trying to make a motion. I'm just not sure what details to put in it. I'd like to make a motion that we, pay the claims that are in a positive.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is you're making a motion to approve the claims that are being paid out of funds that have a positive balance.
Yes.
in it.
Yes. Of the funds that we previously had not, yes. So we're
That are
talking
listed on
17, 3.2 and 3.16. Eight. Do we need to do those individually?
Probably do it once.
I'm
I
sorry.
think she made the motion
Okay,
to do it now. Yeah.
in one. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Then I will second Donna's motion for any outstanding claims from February 17th, March 2nd, and March 16th that still have a positive balance to be paid out of the positive balance fund. Oh, 50%.
And that was the second.
All three, yes.
All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? And now, warrant 20323 through 20428. The amount of $198,846.45.
say, make a motion to, pay out of positive fund balances.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? Okay. March 2026. Okay, do we want to make a motion to move that?
I can. Somebody can.
Okay. Okay, approval of payroll and pension. March 2026 payroll in the amount of $150,633.47. Motion approved.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? April 3rd, 2026 payroll, amount of $144,226.94.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Pension for March 31st, 2026, in the amount of $19,083.16.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, fair, son. Maybe make a motion to move the secretary.
I'll make a motion to amend the order of communication to move Doug Baldessari from Baker and Tilly above the insurance committee.
Second. All in favor? Opposed?
Good evening, everyone. So from Baker Tilly, and it's Jessica Lynch, who's been at many of your meetings here, or certainly various meetings to talk about the water, sewer, stormwater rates. It's been there's been extensive studies done for all these utilities with revisions from not only the mayor and clerk treasurer and all, then went to the council, and there was a lot of thought put into it to, really be able to pay for the cost of the utility, the revenue requirements of the utility, which is your operation and maintenance expenses, your debt service, your capital replacements and improvements, upcoming projects for your sewer utility, And then also factor in, easing the burden on ratepayers. How can we phase that in? How can we, make it, nobody likes a rate increase, especially large rate increases. But, it is, your utilities are not in good shape which is why you're having much of this conversation here this evening. And the only way to get out of that, no matter what the history, is to adjust those rates so that you can start paying the costs of the utility. So, the cash balances continue to drop each month into further into the negative. And, and really our view, and it's really time to adjust those rates. So nobody likes it. But, the utilities are enterprise funds and they should not be relying on the general fund to help pay for the costs of the utilities. They should have the revenues coming in to pay for those, for all the costs. So, and, you have outstanding sewer debt that has, requirements that need to be met, has a rating on it. And you have, could be likely technical default right because you're not keeping up with the bond ordinance. And you have another project, long-term control plan project coming out that you're gonna have to finance. And even as the rep, if this goes too much longer, you don't start building your way out of it, paying, building up cash balances and paying your costs. We're not, the rest of the so it is, we really feel strongly, it's not, we don't vote, we're not in your position, I know this is a difficult position, but it really is time to adjust the rates in our view. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I don't know if the ordinances are up for consideration this evening. They've been introduced, and we've had public hearings, and so at this point, it would just be, sorry, that was a statement, but, need to be adopted in order to implement those rates and charges. And it's not easy on fixed income, we understand, which is why we're phasing the rates in, why there's minimum bills, and we try and keep the usage down. But in the end, those rates do need to be adjusted in order to pay for the costs. And when you look at it comparable to other communities surrounding, in like-sized communities, they're not out of line. So when you look at your total bills. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
What type of percentages are we looking like over 1, 2, 3 years?
Just a Jeremy.
So I know, so Jeremy and I know he's not here tonight, but so we had multiple back and forth communication on changing what had previously been proposed at the public hearing a couple months ago. So that will phase it in. So for sewer, I believe it was the overall increase, if it was going to be a one-time increase was 62%. The phase in is it's only 39% for the first phase. And then it's around 3.85% for the next 2 phases after that initial. So total around 90% there, except the 62%, the total is closer to 48%. Yeah, so 39% the first phase. And then 3.88% the next 2 phases. So instead of the full 62%, it's closer to 48% increase. A reduction of 14% from what was initially proposed at the public hearing. And water, so we already did, water is, I think that one stayed the same. Sewer's more top of mind because it had the bigger concerns.
The chart I saw, the water was still the same.
Yes, the water, so, Jeremy requested to keep water the same. So that was 91% increase, I believe.
Those rates are very low.
But those rates, yeah,
That's that.
91% on $16 is.
$16 is some of the lowest
It's-
rates we've
yeah.
seen in the whole state.
Yeah.
For
So,
Washington.
Right now, your bill is $17, so it's increasing at $16, the average monthly bill based on 4,000 gallons. So that's what percentages can be misleading when your rates are that low.
And the stormwater.
And then the stormwater one.
Being increased over.
The stormwater one is also being phased in. So the increase was 100%, but that, again, the current bill is $4.50. So an increase, but it's only an increase $1 a year for 5 years.
Plus a year, per residential bill.
Yeah, so it's gonna be phased in to get up to that full 100% increase, just $1 a year for the next 5 years.
That's.
And you say that's on a residential bill?
Yeah,
thank
so
you
right
for
now, the stormwater is a flat $4.50
Per resident.
for the residential bill. Yeah.
And that-
Will go up to $9.50.
So it'll go up to $9.20. So the final phase is not a full dollar increase, it's only 70 cents. In 5 years.
Yeah, probably that's an article.
I guess I just wanted to hear from you guys because of the spinning. We were at like $136. And then we were able, after some back and forth and talking to the constituents, we were able to back this bill off to in total around $115, $120 or something like that. So I guess we just wanted to understand, like, this is doable, like, for the city and our funds and things like that. You guys feel like we're still gonna be able to eat away at some of that debt, with this phase?
Yes, okay, yeah, just, and the reason for that is being able to leverage some of the items as far as if you would have done it in one full rate increase. Things such as like the underfunded debt service reserve, that's gonna be captured in the first phase, and so then it will no longer be a requirement, and so that can reduce the second 2 phases.
And one thing I just don't understand is this back to the stormwater. Because we do have citizens who have had concerns because their properties or, and they were expecting that their bill would increase, hundreds of dollars per month. But that sounds more like on a commercial type of lot. So that is exempt from what we're looking at right now with this ordinance.
Yeah, your rate is per ERU, so most residential properties are only 1 ERU, which is $4.50. So, again, that'll be $1 per year, so the first initial phase will be $5.50, then $6.50 on that. Now, commercial properties or industrial properties that their ERUs are larger than 1, it would be the $4.50 times however many ERUs their properties assessed at.
They'll go with the same percentage.
Yeah.
Based on what they're paying,
Yeah.
which is a larger.
So I had a question. So you're talking, we might, and we will in the future have projects coming up that need to be worked with. Will these amounts allow us to be able to do that in this 5-year span? Or
Yes.
3, 2, 1?
If you, assuming you implement the rate increases and start righting the ship. And you're gonna have to defer some capital that you're planned and some non-essential costs still. It's gonna be tight, but you gotta get those cash balances back to where they be. But assuming this is a good financial plan, assuming you get into place and have it start working for you. Yes, you can get there, not right away. It's gonna take couple of years to get dug out of this hole. But the longer you wait, the worse the hole gets.
And these increases do incorporate for the sewer, that long-term control plan project, the proposed long-term control project with some improvements to the wastewater treatment plant. Also, the stormwater, contributing, some dollars towards that debt service for the sewer. And then also, the further out in the stormwater, once you get to phases 4 and 5, that's incorporating the capital drainage project, which I know that the actual amount of that has not been decided yet, but it was something Jeremy and I had discussed.
I didn't know about that. The other thing is, we're still into, like the first quarter. With this 115 starting, is that sufficient for this phase one, or should we do the $5 more, maybe do the phase two?
Or which one was that?
Well, the total.
Oh, the total.
That's where-
You know what? I mean, the more you do, the better it will help you financially. It just depends on what the council feels like. Folks here can handle you. It is, we prepared these rate studies months ago, and the negative balances have continued to accrue. So you are in a little worse position now than you were when we prepared them. So it would be helpful, yes. To answer you, from a strictly financial standpoint,
Yeah.
it would be helpful to go to phase two and do that immediately, but you have other things to consider. I know that as a council.
Thank you.
I know that it was brought up during the public meetings and some other things that we need to look at our stormwater utility ordinance. And so I don't know how everyone on the council feels, but I know the other things are phased up to phase 3 and not past phase 3. I don't know if that's something we can include stormwater to be just the phase 1, 2, and 3, but also look into the ordinance, because it felt like to me there were some things that weren't being captured that we could have or should have possibly been capturing, and that's just based on public input. So I don't know, hopefully, Board of Works and Utilities and those offices are looking into that to make sure. And I think this is probably more of a question than like for Todd and on the Board of Works. Is that something then that we can consider or should be looking into, or have you thought on the stormwater ordinance itself to capture the other items? Or have you looked into the answers as to whether or not that was accurate?
That was brought up at a previous meeting.
Yes.
We haven't looked into that, but we intend to look into that.
Okay.
And a part of the reason the properties that they were talking about, I mean, the PRUs, is that what it's called? Based on impervious, like roofs, driveways. That's kind of what they're based on, and an empty lot doesn't have any of those. I mean, the majority of the rainwater soaks into ground, so that's why.
And that's the
why it's
difference.
asked that they haven't been included.
Okay, but what they had found was findings that you could possibly, if we redid it. And that ordinance was done long before us.
Right.
But if there's some other things that we aren't capturing that could help ease that pain, not so much for the residential, I mean, obviously for everyone, but I do worry about the commercial. So I would like to see us, do the 3-phase and at this point, like the others, and then also, look back into working with the gal that came forward that does it with another community, Miss Light, and just bouncing ideas and suggestions as what we could do to maybe take less of that burden off of our businesses.
I'm sorry if I interrupted, but
No.
it seems like a 2-step process to me. Maybe
Yes.
adopt the rates. and then do the
Absolutely.
ordinance later.
Exactly. And that's why I'm wondering, is that something we can consider? So when we do this in our phases, maybe only do the first 3 phases and not 4 and 5, because that's 4 and 5 years from now. Correct? And so then it kind of puts the feet to the fire to make sure that you recheck that ordinance.
Well, and I would add to that, would it be reasonable to take that 3-year break? Ask Baker and Tilly to do another rate study to see are we where we're supposed to be?
Well, that's the word with that is the stormwater plays into the sewer that is paying for part of the debt. So if you don't go all the way through the 5-phase, then the sewer's not gonna get as much from the stormwater as it should. It's a combined for purposes of the debt, the water, the stormwater and the sewer. So if you're gonna do that, maybe start with phase 3, 4, and 5.
I think as long as they do the first 3 phases, because 4 and 5 is more the capital drainage project, which is not part of this work.
Okay.
Yeah, and 4 and 5 only showed up on stormwater, it didn't show up on the other 2, so that's my thought. If all of them had 5, I wouldn't have even looked at that.
I'm sorry, I
different.
take it back, listen to that.
No, okay, I just, and so that's, I didn't know if the other council had noticed that and thought, oh, well, maybe so that we have more time to work with the businesses in the ordinance. We chop it down to the 3 and not jump, because my understanding, what we would vote on tonight then with the Exhibit A, you had to advertise the highest, which is what's showing on the Exhibit A, but that's not necessarily what the adoption is. The adoption amounts will be what was suggested in the phases.
You actually advertised an even higher one because you had a single rate that you had a public hearing on.
Okay,
And so what's in front of you today is an amended version where you back off of that with lower rates.
that's
If you want to change this again, so when you talk about the stormwater, we can motion to amend that ordinance to simply go through 1, 2, and 3. And have that second voted on, and then you can act on that amended ordinance. You'll be voting on each of these separate.
Okay. But I just wanted to understand that the numbers that they just presented is what we can vote in favor or against tonight. Because there's, and that's only on storm. Or if anyone has any other suggestions. But what is being proposed is what if we wanted to make a motion on is based on those numbers. Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure I had the correct.
And just another clarification, we are talking 3,000 minimum or 4,000 minimum?
It varies based on your business, but the sewage works minimum is 3,000, the water's minimum is 3,027 gallons.
Yeah, and that's not changing.
It's a-
But
That
that's
is not
what we-
changing.
Well, some of the confusion that has come up is your minimum bill is based upon the 3,000 gallons for sewer.
Mhm.
That's the minimum you'll pay every month. The talk about the 4,000 is that is the average usage that you're seeing. And so on average, people will be paying on that 4,000, but the minimum bill will be based off of that 3,000 gallons.
Yep.
Okay.
Based on studies we do throughout the state, an average residential user typically uses around 4,000 gallons. But the minimum for Alexandria residents is 3,000 gallons.
Okay, thank you.
And so what that does is it helps the people who don't use the average. Like if you guys went to the average and said, we're gonna charge 4,000 at the minimum, then everybody would be paying 4,000.
Right.
You can have people who are much
Okay.
below that who are paying a higher.
So that will be that as well. I will start with the stormwater. I would like to make a motion. Oh, sorry.
So this was the presentation, so we'll have to go.
Oh,
over this.
Then I voted for that.
Well, thank you guys.
I do thank you for
Thank you,
moving things
Deb.
around, and I apologize, Jessica's gonna stay.
Yeah, I will still be here, so.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Is there a representative for the insurance committee here? Or? There.
I don't know.
Okay.
Bob, mine's not here.
So it's just presentations and communication, okay. TIF management report and presentation. And greater.
So I'm gonna hand these out. I don't think these were in your packet, so please take one. My name is Sam Slater with the Baker Facility. I'm gonna be really brief this evening. I'm here to satisfy one of the statutory requirements that align with the redevelopment commission and your TIP projects. So I'll let you guys handle those out for the system. All right, so we flip over to page 2, kind of listed here some of the annual requirements of the redevelopment commission and city with on an annual basis. we are satisfying the second requirement here, kind of highlighted it in red. This report, takes a step back and looks at 2025 revenues, expenditures, and kind of just the activity of the redevelopment commission as a whole. So again, it's going to be really brief as we keep looking through here to acknowledge the redevelopment commission members on slide 3 for 2025. And slide 4 here really just kind of summarizes the outstanding allocation economic development areas that Alexandria currently has in place. You have one economic development area that has been expanded several times over the life of the redevelopment district. As it currently stands as well, there's no expiration date set on these areas. Those expirations will be set as soon as a long-term debt instrument is pursued to pledge the existing TIP revenues towards those long-term payments. You currently don't have anything outstanding to that effect. Slide 5 here, this really kind of dives into the state of the redevelopment commission in 2025. So you brought in $90,831, the majority of that coming from TIF, and there was about $94,000 of revenues expended in 2025 as well. Also provided kind of the detailed breakdown there. And on the bottom of the page shows your fund balances at the end of 2025. So around $267,000 in the redevelopment non-reverting fund, which receives your TIP revenue semi-annually and then makes those expenditures throughout the year. You also have a small donation fund that has kind of seen some uptick in balance over the past several years. It currently sits at $5,635. And that kind of summarizes the activity in the development commission. I told you I was going to be brief. There are a few legislative updates TIP wise. The most notable, if we kind of put it back to page 2 in the annual reporting requirements, is that the annual pass-through determination that the redevelopment commission makes, which we will also assist with. There is now a 5% assessed value penalty if there were to be a late notice on that. The redevelopment commission has hit that June 15th deadline every year. We will continue to play our hand and make sure that that continues. There's also some residential housing TIF legislative changes where the current life of a residential TIF area was 20 years. That's now being extended to 25 years, like your normal commercial TIF. It's not necessarily applicable to Alexandria as it currently stands, but could be in the future if there's additional residential development. Well, with that, I'll kind of conclude. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, now the whole business. Ordinance charges for the city clerk. For 2026-02-C.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-002-C in the 3 phases that are proposed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay, ordinance to amend rates and charges stormwater utility number 2026-003-C.
I would like to amend if we could to just do the first 3 phases. And then, side note that we need to take another look at the ordinance at some point, probably sooner than later, and converse with Ms. White and move forward with that. but I would like to, accept the proposed phase up through phase 3.
Motion to amend the ordinance
Yes.
to just go through the first 3 phases.
Amend, yes, a motion to amend it to include the first 3 phases.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we need a motion to pass it with amended. Okay,
Make a motion as the ordinance is amended.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Ordinance to amend rates and charges, water utility and fire hydrant fee. Number 2026-004-C.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Board comments?
Dearest apologies for doing this. Well, Lisa says a lot of people are struggling, and, you know, but we gotta. Not what we like to do, you know, like I said, this happened a long time ago, in my opinion. We don't like doing it, that's why, again, probably why the communications is, you know, we all are upset about having to do it, so. It's something. I know right now it's gonna sting for the first raise or the first phase a little bit, but like he said, you know, as we go on, we build these up, you know, if something happens to the sewer or something like that.
So there's not going to be rates negotiating after we get it built up.
Cannot guarantee anything.
When they go up, they'll try to share with them.
Yeah, you have taxes on it.
Yeah, they always go up.
That wasn't.
I'm just questioning, we had talked before about the spending freeze to help us get more in control, but I'm not really seeing what that really means as far as these claims go. So, you know, I know that you said you would oversee that and things like that, but
The only thing that I've approved right now is necessities. Like at the wastewater plant, we just had 3 operators for the variable speed pumps go down. They're $5,000 a piece. We can't not have them. So,
Yeah,
I mean, and then, so, and fire department, police department, they're only spending what's either contractual.
yeah, I get the important things. I mean, I understand that. There was a lot of just smaller items and things that I just thought, you know, like trainings, you know, things like that, unless it's just necessary, which I understand the fire and the police do have that. But, you know, there's just some things that I would just like to say, could we be more in tune to what is pertinent and what could wait?
And I think when you're saying that, it made me think what could also help it is, you know, when you mentioned contracts, I know that they were working on getting those contracts, but also for the department heads, again, to have their budget, but also maybe if they could get the appropriation reports so that they know what's left in each of those lines, because we've received what I'm referring to on appropriation is different than kind of what we have referred to before. This is just one titled appropriation and it prints out all of the reports. And it's nice to have our eyes on that now and receive those. So thank you, Darcy, for sending that out. If you look, we're a quarter into the year, and I don't know if the rest of you guys have done that or not. So it gives a percentage breakdown at the side. And I want, if the department heads have these too, they could look.
They do.
They do?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys have your appropriation. Okay, because that's where I think would help with what we're talking about too, Todd, because if you see that you only have 33% left in that line and you're only a, you know, fourth of the year, you should have at least 75%, or I understand some things come out once, so it may, but that's a good idea of looking to the side and saying, oh goodness, this is what we had come in. We've already expended this much for the year. Do we need any more of that? anything more from that particular fund line. So I just wanted to make sure that the department heads do have those and that they are able then, because we're all learning this together. And I appreciate that because it's almost time for another budget season. And so with another budget season coming up, having to dig in and look at that. So just another suggestion is on that appropriation report, just to kind of look through each of those lines within your departments to see where you stand. I know we had a heck of a winter that we normally don't get. So just as an example, you know, where are we on salt? Or, and that isn't one that stuck out to me. I'm just using this as an example because we may have another at the end of the year. So that's something we don't always know, but just to get ahead of. So with the spending freeze or spending, those are things to plan because we are going to have to cut from, as we know, with the Senate bills and the other items, and there's going to have to be some reductions in those lines, sadly, that they're going to have to look at and see whether they would like to make those cuts. And I guess if the department heads don't have or have a question as to what I'm referring to, you can either reach out to Darcy or I'll do my best to answer what I've received or help with that. And I'm sure everyone else up here would too.
Sure, shameless plug. I'm also a member of Delta Theta Tau. We do nothing but good things for the city. All dollars that Delta Theta Tau, which is a philanthropic sorority here in town, brings in, stays in this community. So we have a lot of really good things coming up, which is namely Care Day. 44th anniversary of Care Day is coming up, as well as a 9-pin no tap bowling fundraiser for a local family. So that's my plug, Delta Theta Tau.
To jump on that, they're also looking for areas in the city that you think might need cleaned up, mowed, weed eaten. All right, let us know, Christina, Wendy, let us know. We're gonna be out and about, moving around. You wanna help? I think we're gonna meet somewhere. That's something I'll figure it out, but there's an eyesore that needs help next to your house or whatever. Let us know. We'll try to get to it. So it's a great day. It's a great thing.
And Dr. Steele going, spearheaded that, Dr. Steele?
Chester Long, Christina Bennett. Dr. Steele was.
I thought Dr. Steele
There-
was
a lot of them.
yeah.
You must be thinking about the general.
Yeah, you're right, that's what I was thinking of.
We need to get that back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you in a groundhog suit.
Next meeting will be April 20th, 2026. Up to motion to adjourn or
I'll make that motion.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed?
It works.
The work's back up. Hey, better, swing better. Yes, they traveled home. Tell Doug, thank you again. It's well. Amy, Donna, they're gonna have everything to find over there.
You want me to hold that?
We're almost there.
I know, it's a hell of a time to ask.
Oh my gosh.
Dang.
For nothing to work.
Yeah.
None of it worked.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, literally, I'm missing a piece of technology that big to make it all work.
Congratulations. Well, you want me to hold it or you got it?
Today or whenever you want. Okay. It'll take me 10, 15 minutes when I. That we want you. Yeah. Anticipating. Oh, I didn't know there's nothing there now. I'll wait around. I ain't gonna hurt.
Don't.
Sorry, I can't. Right. Before jumping around, shit.
I know their poor little hands are gonna fall off tonight.
I usually try to pick it up.
I dropped off.
So what were you? Or
Yeah, it's a booster that takes the USB and a USB-C, plugs it in for this and this, so they could have microphones, and then this would have videoed. I wouldn't have needed this for video.
was that?
This would have been my boost just for internet.
Okay, and you need those to get. There's no internet in this building.
There is, but this is my booster. This is my booster to record the meeting and stream it.
We use the same thing at the city building. Okay.
Oh.
So this is city building stuff.
Mm-mm. Some of it's borrowed.
Okay.
It's like a wedding. Some of it's borrowed, some of it's blue. Thank you.
Okay. Consideration of approval to extend the expiration for DES 1800242 and 1800243 Washington Street contract.
So the Washington Street project, as everybody knows, is kind of drawn on longer than ever anticipated. And in that, though, we have two of these DES numbers. This project was divided out into three DES numbers. 242 is from Pennsylvania to Curve, and 243 is from Curve to Wayne Street. NDOT's contract, though, that we're currently under has those expiring before we will have all the proper repairs made to sidewalk, streets, having all paperwork turned in to NDOT as required, inspections completed, all of that. So NDOT asked us to extend that expiration date. We are just wanting the board's approval for us to go in and extend that date so that we can get all paperwork turned in once that work is done. I honestly did not see what the new expiration date was. It's done through a DocuSign, and I'm not able to log into that without your guys' approval. So I'm guessing that it is 12 months.
It looks like in here, maybe it's 12 months.
So when was this one to run out?
This one, 242 is scheduled to run out, believe it is the end of this month. And 243 should be also the same.
So we're just going to be approving to
Extend the expiration date of the contract. There's no cost, no, nothing like that. Yeah.
What was she was asking about sidewalks?
For the sidewalks, so, there was cracking already going through those sections of sidewalk that definitely should not have been there
already. It hasn't been poured that long. So we are making them go back and report those, so we have a quality product when they leave. So those, the locations that you're currently seeing pulled up are not the only ones. We had some heaving that occurred there by Jane Polly and by the city parking lot where the sidewalk, the subgrade of the sidewalk was not done properly. So when they poured, that caused heaving when freezing and thawing occurred. So they will be replacing those as well. We are making sure that what we've paid for is going to last us. So that is what we're seeing go on right now.
So it's not city error, it is contractor error.
Yes, it is contractor error. So
I'll make the motion to extend. I hate to extend it any longer, but if we have to, we have to.
I'll second.
That.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next is consideration of approval for Madison County dispatch contract. Something we've been in dispute with Madison County. We felt like we owed something, but this didn't feel like we owed what they wanted. So this is approval to pay what they want.
How was the amount decided? Is it decided on the size of your city or?
You got me. I don't think anybody really knows.
I just
know.
wondered like if Anderson paid more than.
I know Elwood is a third bigger than us and they're paying exactly what we're gonna pay.
What are we gonna be paying?
90,000 a year plus another 20,000 for arrears for the last 4 years.
So we don't really have an option because if we don't pay it, we don't have dispatch.
We don't have an option, yes.
Where would these funds come from?
Police and fire.
So they've already been accounted for. Well.
Probably wouldn't for this year, but
We have the appropriations for those.
Nope.
you want this? Yeah.
Oh.
It's not only for dispatch, but it's for the entire IT, the whole New World system. Right, to take away our radios. And they kind of have us.
Well, obviously, we have to protect our residents. And you guys.
Yes. And for what the city is paying, we cannot. Static. Purchase enough equipment, radio equipment. For the cost.
To do our.
And the complete new IT system, dispatch system, we couldn't do it for the cost. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, consideration of approval for Shondai Solutions doing business as Exos Financial Advisory Service Agreement. And this is West Bennett, which I talked to you about. And you want to go into that a little bit with what he provide us?
Well, under the agreement, as it's written, is Exos will come in and help to try and make sure that the accounting is correct, the reports are done properly, that we have the proper appropriations done for the amounts that are needed. The mayor referenced West Bennett. West Bennett is a former commissioner of DLGF, so he understands the budget process and what needs to be approved and what has to happen in order for expenditures to occur. He's also the former clerk treasurer of the town of Plainfield, so he's got a lot of experience in this area as well. It's going to touch the utilities and the city's fund, so the enterprise fund and the tax base.
I know I asked for help in the utility department, and I guess coming along with the city, it all goes hand in hand. I know it's a big ask, and I know it's spending more money, but I don't see how we cannot not do it. We just all watched what was happening with the city council. We don't know necessarily what we have or where it's at and where the appropriations. So as much as I hate to spend the money, I feel like we have to. You know, the old saying, sometimes we have this, you have to spend money to make money. I think this might be one of the situations. And I don't take it lightly because I know that it could be a lot of money at some point, but I don't see how we cannot not do it. We don't know where we are right now. He obviously has the experience and the knowledge to get us where we need. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. For one of our utility customers is asking for their $25 non-sufficient fund fee to be returned. And they do have proof that their account was hacked. We have a statement from the bank, so they're asking if they can have that applied to their next bill.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Consideration of approval for a utility delinquent list.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Last is consideration of approval for Baker Tilly proposed annexation area physical plan for 405 South Park Avenue.
So you had a super voluntary annexation that was made by Mr. Byron, I believe, to annex part of, for his property into the city. What you have to do before taking action on annexation is have a fiscal plan conducted by a FA or an MA to make a determination as to how that annexation will impact the city. And so this is asking Baker Tilly to handle that work, to provide you the information. Then you'll have a public hearing on the fiscal plan and the annexation, and then you go from there. Water's not available.
I'll make the motion for Baker Tilly to work on the proposed statements and then section fiscal plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right. Regarding the same thing. No. Next meeting will be April 20th, 2026 at 5:30. Have to motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
That's all.